Hi, it is Tuesday, April 10th, and I thought today I would do just a little quick look-see and find out what is going on with the um, Alberta provincial election. So early voting started yesterday, and that runs until the 13th, and the actual election day is the 16th of April, so about 6 days away from now. I thought I would just sort of take a look and see what we can see in terms of sort of the most likely outcome. I'm really only going to focus on the NDP as the incumbent government and the UPC as the sort of main opposition, or those two, when it comes right down to it, the election really is going to be between those two parties. So that's where we're going to look. Thank you very much, first of all, for joining me at Soul Print. It's lovely to have you here. As you're aware, this is a really new YouTube channel, and as I've said before, it is my hope that the people who need to hear the messages that I offer will find this channel and will hear those messages. So I'm going to bring the screen down, and we're going to take a look and see what is going on with the Alberta Provincial Election 2019. These cards have been really well shuffled before I started. We'll give them a couple of quick shuffles, and then we will see where we go from there. So I hope you enjoy this reading. I hope it's helpful. I do not actually have very strong political opinions about this election, so I'm probably, relatively neutral. Before I start, though, there's something I would like to say, and this actually applies to all of Canada. We as Canadians have a tendency to vote parties out of power, as opposed to voting parties into power. So what ends up happening as a result is, we're really annoyed with something a political party did, and we're not going to put up with it, and we're not going to take it anymore, and they are out of here. Having said that, we don't often pay as much attention as we should to what the party coming in has to say and what they're going to do. And that's like sort of a Canada-wide thing as near as I can figure. It just seems to be almost like the attitude of the country. It's like, if you do what I want, then you're good and you're fine. But when you aggravate me, it's not about electing a party into power that has better ideas. It's more about electing a party out. So having said, that's about my strongest political opinion, okay? So that's where I'm coming from. That's it. That's all I've got to say. So we're going to let the cards speak for themselves. Okay, I'm going to bring this down. And here we go. Okay. Whoops. So what I thought I would do is I'm going to lay out two sets of cards, the first at the same time. And the first sort of row of cards is going to be for the NDP, Rachel Notley, and the second row of cards is going to be for Jason Kenney and the UPC. So let's just see what we have to see. I'm going to cut the deck like so, and then these two piles are going to be the ones that I will draw from. So this is Rachel Notley's pile. Let's see what the cards have to tell us. Okay. And UPC. Okay, I'm going to keep these two piles separate in case I want to draw from them. So, NDPs. They're currently in power, and they are there are secrets, there are things that go on behind the scenes that people don't like. The position of where she is literally high priestess. Okay, so she is right now sitting in that position of power. She has been wielding power, she has been making the rules and making the decisions, and she is currently embattled. She is in a place where she is defending herself. She is defending her actions. She's trying to explain and justify the choices that she has made as head of the government. This is indicating that not all of those choices were well received. Some of the choices she made, she felt like her hands were tied, that she didn't really have a lot of options, whether it was because of a downturn in the economy, or whether it was because of federal politics, or whether it was because of other provinces. But in a lot of ways, the intentions that she came in with did not necessarily manifest exactly the way she wanted them to. There was definitely a feeling that things were going on and things were happening that were beyond her control, and that she was having to respond to. And politics sort of aside, when I look at this, the best example that comes to mind is the Fort McMurray fires. So that was something that, we get springtime, there's going to be spring, summer, there's going to be some forest fires. But that was extreme. That was unprecedented. And so the provincial response to that was also unprecedented in terms of cost, man hours, etc. So that's sort of what we're talking about here, is just that sense that things happened and things were going on that honestly were just not in her control. And as a result, maybe the choices weren't the best choices, but choices had to be made. That's what you do when you are leader of a party. This last card, the World card, honestly doesn't tend to bode very well for her. The World card most often represents an end, something coming to a completion, so something new can begin. So if I was going to read this literally directly, I would say she's in power, she's embattled, she had to make some really difficult decisions that did not increase her popularity, and that situation is coming to an end. That was literally the reading of those 4 cards. Jason Kenney. Okay, so he's sitting here, and he has very much fashioned this thing as a forward movement, and a binary choice. His sort of approach to the situation has been, it's this or it's that. It's one or the other. There doesn't seem to be a lot of compromise. It doesn't appear as if he has sort of tried to say, okay, well, this was good and this is good, and Albertans like this, and we're going to sort of incorporate it. It's more binary than that. It's more, it's this or it's that. He sees that and believes that to be his strength. Now, whether it actually ends up being his strength, I suppose we'll see. This card, the Three of Pentacles, tends to represent group work. It's people coming together and working for a common goal, which, frankly, is a pretty good description of a political party. And the Eight of Wands is almost always representative of things happening or things changing, things moving along rapidly. So the fact that we're 6 days away from an election, certainly that applies, because if anything is going to change or alter, it's going to be, it's right on the horizon. It's right around the corner. So it's going to be happening quickly. I'm going to take the deck of cards that the bunch of cards that I did not separate. I'm just going to give them a quick shuffle, and I'm going to plop down some cards on top of this. I want to know, my question is, what is the result? How are people going to feel? How are Albertans going to feel on April 11th, 12th, 15th, 18th, 30th? How are people going to, in the province of Alberta, how are they going to respond to the election results? Let's just see what the cards have to say. Okay, we've got heartbreak. That's kind of not good. We have a card typically representative of, waiting for our ship to come in, waiting for business situations to change or alter. The Six of Cups is very often about trying to go backwards in time, looking fondly at the past. And the Ten of Swords. Okay, so the bottom line is what this is saying is that people are going to be disappointed. A significant number of people are going to be disappointed. And I think that really does make sense, because as near as I can figure, and I truly, truly have not been paying super close attention to things like polls and platforms, and I'm just trying to stay almost pure energy here. But it seems to me that the support for both parties is, well, maybe not exactly evenly split. It is very close to that. So it appears that you're going to have 35 to 40% of people who voted for a specific party being disappointed, irregardless of what party wins. So that becomes divisive. That becomes a real, almost like my way or the highway, you're right, I'm wrong kind of atmosphere. And frankly, that concerns me a great deal, because there is enough of that kind of energy going on south of us. And it would be just sad to see that same sort of divisiveness and attack politics going on in Canada. We're better than that. And let's hope that that does not, let's hope that that is not what is in our future and what is about to unfold. This is a sense of trying to attract commerce, waiting for ships to come in, waiting for new beginnings, new enterprises, that sort of a feel to it. The Six of Cups really is really reminiscent of trying to go backwards in time. So, given the fact that the Conservative Party has been a mainstay in Alberta for, 40 or 50 years, a huge amount of time that the province has been Conservative, that's all there is to it. That's the party that always gets voted in on any level of government, pretty much. So there's a lot of this looking back and saying, well, I want it to be the way it used to be. I want it to be the way it was. But what people are going to discover is that the UPC party is not the PC party of old. It is different. They have very different ideas and very different agendas. So at this point, if I had to make an educated guess based on these tarot cards, I would say that the United Progressive Conservatives are going to win the election. I do not believe they're going to win by a landslide. I think it is actually going to be a fairly close election. And what that ultimately means is that you're going to have a party, and you're going to have a very strong opposition to that party. And in some ways, while that may prevent a lot of stuff from getting done in the next 4 years, a lot of things from getting accomplished in the next 4 years, it will also effectively put the brakes on things that a significant number of Albertans really do not want to see happen in this province. So it creates an environment where it's one of two things. Either it becomes really divisive and there is almost no meeting in the middle, or it becomes a situation where you have two parties who both hold significant power figuring out that they have to come together and work together. As an Albertan, I would say that for most Albertans, that second choice would be our option. We would prefer to see parties working together, coming together, and creating solutions and agendas that are supportive of all the people in the province and that is in the best interest of the province, in the best interest of the citizens of that province. So that is my Alberta election reading. I guess we'll find out in 6 days whether or not I was on point or out to lunch. So whatever you do, if you're seeing this reading, get out there and vote. Make sure your neighbors are voting and your family is voting. Take some time in the next few days to become as educated as you can about the different parties and what they stand for and what they represent. I think that you're probably not going to find a party that is exactly what you would like or is exactly aligned, but make a choice and vote. That's the best and most important thing you can do. If you're not voting, you're not moving that energy forward. You're just being sort of a passive standbyer, and that's not what Albertans are. We're kind of, put on our boots and get the job done. So that's what we need to do. Let's get out there, vote. Happy Election Day, people, and we will talk to you soon. Take care now. Bye-bye.